Seattle Seahawk fans are still celebrating this morning. Seattle's Space Needle was lit up for fans as they celebrated the crushing 43-8 win over Denver. You saw the game on our sister station, Tucasa. Bronco fans found themselves suffering from the gloom of what some have called an embarrassing loss in Sunday's game. You know, the Super Bowl is big business, even right here in New Mexico.
And despite the rather disappointing performance by those Denver Broncos, their presence in the game helped make it a huge night for sports bars. The ones we checked out in Albuquerque, including the Uptown Sports Bar here in Uptown, were packed at kickoff. Had a lot to do with local Broncos fans, many of them lifetime Broncos fans who turned out to cheer on their team.
Ever since I was little, John Elway, I went to Mile High a couple of times with my dad and watched the game. It's nice to see them back at the Super Bowl.
Business is great. This is one of the busiest days of the year we have. We always are pretty packed for football season, so every Sunday is kind of like this. So this is just a good day to party.
While the players battled on the field, advertisers battled it out in between segments of the game on the air. Budweiser alone spent more than $20 million to run 5 ads during the Super Bowl, including this popular one they call Puppy Love.
Putting a corporate name on the pit to make some money is a controversial idea, but it's an idea that's working elsewhere. Fresno State is getting $2 million a year, as a matter of fact. UNM's arena has well been known as the Pit for more than 47 years. Since it was redone 4 years ago at the tune of $60 million, the university's been trying to sell naming rights for at least $10 million over 20 years.
That's negotiable, and the length of the term is negotiable. These are complicated ventures. This isn't a simple business deal.
He is not naming names, but Cass says that they've negotiated with several potential partners. UNM, by the way, is also looking to sell the naming rights to the football stadium. They've already collected $1.5 million for a 15-year deal to call it Branch Field at University Stadium.
And the city said, let there be light, but there isn't. And that's a problem this morning. We're talking about this big pedestrian bridge on I-25. It's supposed to have more than 24 LED lights that cost $327,000 of public art money, but the lights are on the fritz. Now, these are the same lights, remember, that delayed the bridge from opening in the first place. The city thinks there may be a manufacturing problem or maybe a wiring issue because of a storm last July.
The public art program is in the business of commissioning things that have never been done before, so we're very optimistic that this is just a little technical glitch that needs to be repaired.
Let's look at the good news here. The lights are under warranty, so they won't cost the city or you anything to fix. The city's hoping to have them back on by the spring. Coming up at 6:06 now, it has been 5 years since a woman out walking her dog on the West Mesa found a bone sticking out of the dirt. That bone would eventually lead to the skeletons of 11 women, one of them pregnant, and the realization that Albuquerque had a serial killer preying on women with troubled lifestyles. Well, 5 years later, little has changed.
Homes are closing in on the burial site, and what's missing is a park that was supposed to be built in honor of the victims.
This was one of the most horrific crimes in the history of our city, and there's been no resolution to what has happened here.
Albuquerque City Councilor Ken Sanchez used to represent the area where the graves were found. He says the city had a deal with KB Homes, owners of the land, to designate a park and build one. KB Homes would donate the land and build it. Now entire neighborhoods are being built near the grave site. Residents want something done now.
I think it would really be nice for the families. I think they would appreciate something like that.
Councilor Sanchez says he'll keep fighting to see the park is built. A spokesman for KB Homes said the company's commitment still stands. They plan to break ground on the park this year, as well as build more homes in the rest of the 92-acre parcel. Education Secretary-designate Hannah Scandera has been surrounded by controversy since she took the job back in 2011. She's never been confirmed. On Friday, a move to scrap her position entirely moved ahead at the Roundhouse.
I really believe that educators should be running education in New Mexico, and I think we really need to separate, politics from education.
APS board member Stephen Michael Quesada is backing the change, essentially undoing what Governor Bill Richardson did 11 years ago. Richardson created the position of Education Secretary and did away with having a state board of education. Voters went for the idea. Senator Michael Padilla's constitutional amendment would replace the governor-appointed Education Secretary position with an education superintendent, which would be hired by an elected state board of education. A Senate panel has moved the measure forward. Senator Michael Padilla's proposal is among 26 other proposals to change the state constitution this session.
Those include legalizing marijuana for recreational use and raising the minimum wage. But one senator is proposing an amendment that would make changing the Constitution a lot harder. Listen.
If you're going to pass an amendment to the Constitution and allow the voters to vote on something like that, it ought to be serious, it ought to be nonpartisan, it ought to be something that really needs to be done.
Ryan's proposal would require 2/3 of legislators in the House and Senate to approve a constitutional amendment before sending it to voters. Right now, all that's needed is a majority.